Speaker. 1.6c of the Ministerial Code states, "It is of paramount importance that ministers give accurate and truthful information to Parliament, correcting any inadvertent error at the earliest opportunity." Yesterday, the Prime Minister said to the House, Olly Robbins went on to say, "I have complete confidence that recommendations to me and the discussion we had and the decision we made were rigorously independent of any pressure." What Sir Olly actually said to committee was, "I also have complete confidence that their recommendations to me and the discussion we had and the decision we made were rigorously independent of that pressure." That pressure, not any pressure. The Prime Minister materially changed Sir Olly's meaning. Robbins was clear. He had been put under pressure. Does the Chief Secretary to the Prime Minister know whether the Prime Minister intends to correct the record?
Mr. Speaker, I think the difference between the words "that" and "any" is not of material relevance to the question that the Minister is putting to the House. The Prime Minister has not misled the House, and the testimony of the Prime Minister, but also of Sir Olly Robbins, is very clearly on the record, and that makes the case.
Alex Burghart.
The Chief Secretary to the Prime Minister is perfectly intelligent enough to know that there is an enormous difference between those two words. I will remind him that the Prime Minister is bound by the Ministerial Code. Yesterday, the Prime Minister also told the House Sir Olly was absolutely clear that nobody put pressure on him to make this appointment. But this is not what Sir Olly said to committee. He actually said, "Throughout January, honestly, my office and the Foreign Secretary's office were under constant pressure." And again, while I think the department felt under pressure, we were proud of the fact we had not bowed to that pressure. And again, Philip Barton's handover to me has contributed to my strong sense that there was an atmosphere of pressure. To avoid being in breach of the Ministerial Code, ministers must correct the record at the earliest available opportunity. At the very latest, the earliest opportunity is now. Will the Prime Minister correct the record?
Does the Prime Minister stand by his statement at the dispatch box on the 10th of September last year that full due process was followed in the appointment of Peter Mandelson as our ambassador to Washington?
Yes, I do. Mr. Speaker, let me make clear at the outset that the appointment itself was a mistake. It was my mistake. I've apologised to the victims for it, and I do so again. What I set out to the House on Monday is that Foreign Office officials granted security clearance to Mandelson against the recommendation of UK security vetting. Yesterday, Sir Olly Robbins was asked if he shared that decision with me, Number 10, or any other ministers. He gave a clear answer, no. Mr. Speaker, that puts to bed all the allegations levelled at me by those opposite in relation to dishonesty. Last week they were all saying that it must have been shared with me. Sir Olly was very clear yesterday it was not. I believe not sharing it was a serious error of judgment. That information should have been shared with me and other ministers. And if it had have been, Mandelson would not have been committed to post.
Mr. Speaker, it does not put to bed anything. On the 11th of November 2024, long before any vetting had happened, the Prime Minister received advice from Simon Case, the then Cabinet Secretary. The advice said the appointment would require, and I quote, the necessary security clearances before confirming the Prime Minister's choice. This advice was ignored. So how can the Prime Minister still believe that confirming Mandelson before the security clearances was following full due process?
Mr. Speaker, this was looked into by Sir Chris Wormold. I asked him to review the appointment process, including the vetting. He confirmed, Mr. Speaker, his words, appropriate processes were followed. She's put great weight on the order of events. I remind her what Sir Chris said last November in evidence to the House. He said this, and I quote, "When we are making appointments from outside the civil service, the normal thing is for security clearance to happen after appointment, but before the person signs a contract and takes up post." That is what happened in this case. Sir Olly Robbins himself, Mr. Speaker, also gave evidence, and he said, and I quote, "As is normally the case with external appointments in his department, the appointment was made subject to obtaining security clearance." Mr. Speaker, on top of that, Sir Olly Robbins has made clear that the fact that developed vetting was after announcement made, in his words, no material difference to the conclusion that was reached. And Mr. Speaker, I add this, that what Sir Olly Robbins wrote to the committee yesterday was this, and I quote, "When the Prime Minister informed the House that the proper process had been followed in respect of national security vetting, he was correct."
He knows he did not follow due process, yet he told the House he had. Mr. Speaker, I cannot accuse the Prime Minister of deliberately misleading the House, but everyone can see what has happened here. This was not due process. Everyone knows the price of misleading the House. Will the Prime Minister finally take responsibility and go?
Well, Mr. Speaker, let's be absolutely clear. Before Mandelson took up his post, UKSB recommended with red flags that clearance should be denied, and there was high concern that was not brought to my attention or the attention of the Foreign Secretary at the time or subsequently is a very serious error of judgment, and anyone in my position would have lost confidence in the former Permanent Secretary. But, Mr. Speaker, the Leader of the Opposition claimed on Friday that Mandelson could not have been cleared against security advice. She was wrong about that. She said that ministers must have been told. She was wrong about that. She claimed there was deliberate dishonesty. She was wrong about that. Wrong. She rushed to judgment as she always did, just like the Iran war. Mr. Speaker, I was elected by the British people because they let the country down for 14 long years. Whatever she says, whatever noise they make, nothing is going to distract me from delivering for our country.